This episode of the Quit Your 9 to 5 podcast show is brought to you by the Quit Your 9 to 5 Academy. Are you a struggling entrepreneur who's still stuck at a day job and want out? If you're ready to ditch the 9 to 5 life for good, to do what you're really passionate about, let us show you how to monetize your passion into a business that keeps you happy and makes you money. Visit quityour9to5academy.com for your free exit plan strategy guide.
Are you ready to quit your 9 to 5 and pursue your passion full time? We'll show you how. Create a business doing what you love. You're listening to the Quit Your 9 to 5 podcast with your hosts, Tamisha and Damian Duncan.
Okay, so first of all, Fabi, thank you so much for being here with us. We really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. I am so excited to be speaking to you because you have an amazing brand. It is absolutely gorgeous and visually stunning. And, you know, one thing that drew me to you is the fact that you have a story that's really compelling. You talk a lot about, you know, leaving your job, your full-time job to really do what you want to do, and how you've done that and how that's transformed your business into making six figures in less than a year. And so a lot of people are overwhelmed about the process. They're scared. They don't know what to do. But hearing other people's stories and hearing how they've taken the plunge, they, you know, not really with a whole bunch of money in the bank, but, you know, you had a vision and you went for it, and it's taken you to places that you probably couldn't even imagine you going within that short period of time. And so we want to let people know that it's possible. You know, everything that they want is possible. And sometimes they got to hear somebody else's story in order to see it. Somebody that looks like them, that they can relate to, in order to feel and see like, yeah, okay, maybe I can do this. So I think you have an amazing story. I can't wait to share it with everybody. So first of all, briefly, I know about your fabulousness, but please tell everybody about your brand and who you are.
Well, I first want to say thank you so much for having me today, because it's an amazing experience, and I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I'm empowering others to focus on how they can leave their 9 to 5, so that's awesome. I'm Fabiola Giordani, and I'm a business and brand coach for female entrepreneurs who are ready to take their business to the next level and build that empire and leave that legacy for their family. That's a focus that we focus on. And I've been in a business for a year and a half now. No, a year and 4 months. Let's say that. We're not in the half point yet. And did you want me to just start talking about like the process of how I quit my job too?
Yeah, I will. But before we even get to that, tell us, okay, so that's what you do is you're a branding coach. You're a business and branding coach, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you do before you started your business full time?
I was actually in insurance. Oh, okay. I was in insurance. I did training, and of course also I already forgot. It was just, I was like, I'm out.
There you go.
I know first it was training, and then I also did auditing for a health insurance company.
Okay.
So that was awesome. It was a great job. It wasn't like I hated my job completely. I just felt like I was not living my purpose. Mm-hmm. And after a year and a half of being there, I felt like inside of me something was like gnawing at me, like you're meant to do greater things. And I started working on myself, actually. It was that personal journey that made me realize that I want to be my own CEO. Like, I want to be able to have more freedom,
right,
and really be there for my little girl. I felt like she was growing up and I didn't get to see her because I would take stacks of work home, and I'm like, because, you know, you have a laptop, you're training, you're doing all this stuff, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take some of this work home, and never get to really see my family. It's like they're here, but they're not here.
Right.
So that's what I used to do for a living.
And that's interesting because I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that you didn't really hate your job. You actually, you know, it was pretty cool, because some people automatically assume, you know, oh, I hate my job, I got to get out. And sometimes that's not the case. It's not that you hate your job. You may actually like what you're doing, but you know that your purpose is to be doing something much more fulfilling for you. And so that makes it even that much scarier, because, you know, when you hate your job, it's easy to be like, punk this, I'm out of here.
Right.
But when you really don't hate it and you're just like, okay, but this, I'm not really sure if this is what I should be doing, and you're trying to test the waters, you really have to step out on faith, and you're leaving something that's actually comfortable for you and trying something new. So that could be a real scary experience.
It is a total scary experience because, because when I made that decision, I was just, it was a compilation of birthdays, my birthday, and of course crying about not feeling like I'm living my purpose. Because after going through that personal journey, I realized there's so much more in this world that we can be doing. And there's so much more that, you know, we're called to do. We're just afraid. Every time God speaks to us, we nudge it down. We punch it down. We're like, nope, not for me. It's not comfortable. You know, how am I going to pay my bills? Am I guaranteed to have clients? We're all looking for guarantees, but truly successful people they're not worried about the guarantees because they're guaranteed that they are going to be successful no matter what. There's going to be a positive outcome at the end of all the struggle. They see it as more of a journey. So I was like, I don't care what happens. We got to go.
Yeah, I love that. And that's very powerful, what you just said.
You can also see it as, people look for justification to stay at their job.
Yep.
And they want to mask it with all of this blah, 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 when it's really fear that's, hindering them to allow them to take that move into pursuing their purpose. And let me ask you in regards to when you were at the job, you said, the job wasn't bad, but did you feel like it was taking away your freedom, your power, your peace of mind?
Let me tell you. You know how when you, so I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I didn't finish college the traditional way. So as soon as that job, the last job that I had was after I finally got my degree. So it was like I was on a fast track of getting to management and I wanted to be the CEO. So I would do work for my boss when it should be him. So yes, I was doing so much more that I didn't have time, the freedom to have my weekends to myself. That was the struggle, coming home and telling my baby girl, yeah, we're going to go to dance, but I never have time for her or time for my husband. Mm-hmm. So for me, I thought about it like overall, not just freedom for time, but financial freedom, because I knew what he was making and I knew what I was making. I was like, this is a cap to my financial freedom to have goals. I want to take my baby, my children, because I intend to have more, around the world and see different cultures and experience life. And I want to spend more time with my family. And, that hint in your mind that, your parents are getting older. You want to spend more time with them too. Because the relationship you have with them when you're little and as an adult is totally different. So they're, all these factors. And I was like, you're right. As you were saying, Damien, I wanted more freedom. I was like, I cannot do that here. It was not possible.
And I just, I want the Quit Your 9 to 5 listeners to understand that when you're an entrepreneur, it allows you to be present for your family. When you're working a 9 to 5, once you clock in, you're telling your boss, well, I'm leaving to go home to take my daughter or my son somewhere. It just doesn't happen that way. So I want people to understand the impact of being an entrepreneur. Yes, it's hard work, but you are in control of your own destiny. Like in sports, they say they control their own destiny. And it definitely allows you to be present in your family. And just being able to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, to your point, it is a lot. It is hard work. I find, and I'll just be honest, it's easy to go to work and work your 9 to 5. You do what you got to do, and don't ask me for anything a minute after 5:01. I'm like, nah, sorry, it'll get done tomorrow. But obviously, that's not how it works in entrepreneurship. No. I find myself, we have 2 small kids, so I find myself, my best time to work is at 3:00 in the morning when the house is quiet.
Me too. I'm cranking it out. I'm like killing it.
I get it in. Talk about 3:00 in the morning, honey, child. You text me, I'll be like, yes,
yes, I know.
I'm up. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not easy. You gotta finagle your life, but you are in control of it. So if I say, you know what, the other day I was really busy working on something and my kids were like, mommy, can you play with me? And in my mind, I'm like, oh, you want me to play with you again? I'm like, all right, let me shut the laptop down. Let's go to the park. I can control that. I couldn't do that at a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
So to both of your points, the fact that it allows you, it's not easy, but it's gratifying work because it's your own work. And it's hard work that you're doing, and you're seeing the fruits of your labor.
It's just the freedom that's being that you create. We're up 3-4 o'clock in the morning. She's in her office, I'm in my office, and we're texting. Are you up? What are you working on? We're having meetings at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and then of course 7 o'clock. Who's waking up.
Yep.
But again, it's very fulfilling. It just allows us to bond with your family better and. It's just different. Just the other day we were out having lunch as a family, and we're just like, wow, this freedom is awesome.
Yeah,
it's just, you see a few people in there, looking at their watch because they got to get back to work. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm on my time.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So, people have to definitely understand the power that it creates and start embracing it, but. I can keep going on.
We'll ramble on. Okay, so how long was it from the time that you actually made the decision to say, okay, I realize this is not what I want to do, to the time that you actually pulled the trigger to leave?
Well, it was, I would say, a month.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
I made a decision because I realized if I don't rip off the Band-Aid, I'll never do it.
Yeah.
You know, like you were saying, Damien, we justify the reason why we shouldn't leave. Like, I have a kid and I have bills. We all have bills. Like, you don't live anywhere for free.
Right.
But the reality is, are you willing to work right now for the life that you want later? And that's what I thought about. Like, let's look at the big picture and not just the instant picture. And I'm going to be honest with your listeners. I didn't have any backup plans. I didn't have money like that. I just knew that this is what I did. I took a tax cut, like my 401k. I cashed it out. I was like, this is going to be it for me. I don't want to go back. I know I'm going to make the money 10 times to even, have a magnificent retirement. So I'm not worried about it. And I just put my faith forward. But it was a month in between. I think it was like my birthday was August. And then by September, I was like, I'm out. Thank you. Have a great day.
There you go. Yep.
Yes.
Love it.
I love it. So was there anything now, I know we talked a lot about, the overall thing and as far as your motivation to leave. And I know for some people, they want to leave, which is the reason why I asked that question. They want to leave and they say, okay, I'm going to leave, but then things linger on and then something happens that makes them kind of motivate them to be like, no, I'm done. Like that was kind of how I moved. I was just like, okay, I put a date on it. I was like, the date came, the date left, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I need a little bit more time, and then something happened, and I was like, nope, I'm out. So was there anything, like, at your job, any pivotal moment that made you say, I know I'm making the right decision by leaving?
As soon as it's so funny, as soon as I put in my notice, all of the higher-ups that I was cool with was just like, who are you again?
Really?
And I was like, that is the greatest decision I've ever made in my life. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I had no hair at one point. What actually started, like, it was a trickle of things, but a month prior to me quitting, actually just making the decision, I had my hair short, and I remember being really tight with one of the CEOs, and as soon as I cut my hair, she was like, no. So that freedom to be able to be yourself and have the style that you want was it was annoying that I couldn't be myself. I did the same quality of work, if not, I was still the same person, but my hair was a big problem. And if you guys don't know, I dress weird too, in a good way. I like my rocker style. So
which entrepreneurship allows?
Yes.
Exactly. It allows you to do that. And for me, it was like after I told them that I was going to be leaving and the attitudes changed, and I was like, and the thing is, I didn't just leave them high and dry. I actually trained someone for them. I did the whole process the correct way, and I was still not received well for that. So that confirmed the reason why I wanted to quit. So that was exciting.
Well, the bottom line is the bottom line is it's never going to be enough in corporate America.
Exactly.
Just the minute you left, you were replaced. Mm-hmm. And see, people have to understand that. You're just another person that they can replace at any given time. So if you want to call that security, I don't know what people want to call security. So, but
it's not secure at all. Is that a little one?
Yes. I'm looking at him like, really seriously? You really getting up right now while we're recording? But I can't say anything, so I'm just like.
I love this.
We're home, entrepreneurship, right? Baby.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is
exactly.
Real life here.
Exactly. But the truth of to what you're saying is that there is no security. So I'm always taking this from my friends that I'm secure. I have a secure job. No, you don't. I remember a few years back, because I've been in corporate for like 9 years. Prior to quitting, and they just decided we were contracted. They didn't need us anymore. They wanted to hire a new group of people. They fired us all. Wow. They kept saying, no, we're not going to fire anybody so that we can stay and fill until they fill the spots. And I already knew that, but most people didn't. They were like, I'm so comfortable. They just woke up one day and were like, okay, it was daily. Every day someone would get fired, like a group of people. So don't think you are in a warm blanket. Right. I don't want to say they don't care, but they really don't, because you're replaceable. Anyone else. And I remember at one point, before they started doing that massive layoff, they started laying people off and who were getting paid like $20 an hour to get newbies, college students who were wanting $12 an hour. Yes. So if you can be replaced because of money, they're going to replace you for anything. Yep. So like you said, there's no security. This is more secure than anything, because you can control how much you make, your time, and all of that.
And people don't understand what a lot of corporate companies is all about: revenue and sales and profit. So you see the phenomenon. I mean, cheap labor is being hired in drones. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how much skills you have. If you don't fit in that financial platform that they're creating, goodbye.
When they're done with you, they will use you up, spit you out, and when they're done with you, they're done with you. And I try to explain that, I don't know about your parents, but my parents come from, the old school. So they were all about, getting a government job and working for 25, 30 years. And they don't, they support and believe in it, but they don't want their child doing entrepreneurship. They're all about doing things for yourself and empowering people, but you don't go ahead and do that now. You keep that cushy job because you got a family to feed. But I keep trying to explain to them, like, y'all don't get it. Like, there is no security. When they're done with me, they're done. And they will pull the rug right from up under you when you least expect it. And then what do you do?
Well, exactly. And just to touch on that, well, the thing is with the parents, my mom and dad, they worked for 30 some odd years in their jobs, and what we have to understand is they were rewarded for what they did.
Yes, they
were. And the old rules of corporate America no longer exist. So it's more of the culture has gone from you did a great job, here's your raise, here's whatever, here's your bonus. Now the new culture is, well, you should just be happy to have a job.
Yep.
And so
or here's your $2 raise.
Right.
Enjoy that.
Right.
Don't spend it all in one place.
How many of you listeners are looking forward to your 1 to 2% raise? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what is it at $10?
Did that happen to you, Fabi?
Worse. You're saying $2? I got a 10 cents raise. I wrote a blog about it. A 10 cents raise. Wow. I was livid. I was killing it. I mean, I'm one of those people when I get into a job, which I will never do it again, but when I get into whatever I do, even in my process, my business, I go in. I'm totally committed to my clients, all of that. And I was giving them my all, and I got a 10 cents raise. I was so angry. I was like, are you kidding me?
How do you fix your lips to offer that to somebody?
Right?
Like who typed that on a piece of paper? Like, this is it.
And he's highlighting all these awesome things that I did and how amazing I was. Everybody loves it. And then he's like, yeah, this is your raise. I was like, are you kidding me? Terrible. So it's not guaranteed.
And I hope your listeners are understanding. In a 9 to 5, your salary is capped.
Yep.
There is no extension of that cap.
Yeah.
And you have to if you're okay with that, I mean, fine with you, but I just can't fathom the thought that someone is going to put a cap on my career and tell me how much they're going to pay me.
You can make
right.
This is where we're capping you out. I mean, that's
totally
not
ridiculous.
Acceptable. It is at first when you don't know any better, but after you start to think about the limit and speaking to what you were doing, I know that you talk a lot about the fact that you were making this amount of money, but then you've exceeded that beyond your wildest dreams, doing your own thing in less than a year, whereas you probably would have taken you 4 or 5, a number of years to get to that dollar amount. And people don't realize that. So I want you to talk, and I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I want you to talk a little bit more about some of the fears that you may have had, because, you mentioned that you didn't have a plan, you cashed out on your 401k. So that had to have a scary, feeling for you. So what was that like?
Terrified. I was just, every night I would cry to my husband and be like, I don't want to be ordinary. That was my word. To say I do no longer want to be ordinary. And God gave me a message in my heart that I should empower 1 million women and somehow help them empower others to change the world, whether it's through career. Entrepreneurship was the path that I've chosen with this message, whatever it was for them, because I wanted my little girl and other little girls to understand that you don't have to do certain things because society told you to, because society, like we were saying, says you have to go to college and you have to go to a 9 to 5 and work your life to your 50, 60 and retire.
Right.
And that's not the truth. You should be able to do what you want because we all have choices. God gives us that choice. So for me, some of the fears were just being afraid about how am I going to pay my bills, because what I did was I quit so suddenly. I didn't have clients, and I was I'm a certified professional life coach, and I had a life coaching business and business coach too. But I started with the life coaching piece. I was like, I'm everything. I want everyone to feel as amazing as I do. So let's start life coaching. And I negated all my skills as a trainer, consultant, and all that, which we realized later. But I started this brand new business. What I do now, to me at the time, was brand new. Not because of what I've done in the past, but brand new to my audience. No one knew about me in that level. So it was scary because I'm like, I don't have any clients. My whole list is brand new. Nobody knows me. I just started a Facebook page and I had like 250 people on it because I paid for Facebook ads. So these were strangers.
Right.
And I was like, well, what am I going to do? How are we going to eat? And I talked to God. I said, you got me, because you put this in my heart and I know that's something that I can accomplish and do well. So the fear of not being able to pay my bills, the fear, even if you're married, you still want to contribute to the household. You can't just be like, let's just chill, because you're building an empire together. You're building a life together. The fear of my little girl dances. How am I going to pay for dance? You know, how am I going to do these different little things? Groceries. I'm used to certain type of things and brands. What am I going to, you know, these little things that are going in your head. So there were a lot of fears of leaving my job and will it be successful? But what I realized when I was speaking to my fears, I realized I wasn't feeding to my ambitions and my goals that I wanted to reach. I didn't feed myself the good stuff. Like, what if when I started reversing, what if I become successful? What if I make more money? What if I get clients? What will happen then? How will I see my life? So when I started speaking in that term instead of speaking to my fears, it changed for me because, like you were saying, I was making $34K a year in my 9 to 5. Last year, in the first year of business, I made $250,000. Wow. That's way more than I would have ever made. You're saying 3 to 4 years? I live in Florida, so I would probably never see that money until, I don't know, 6 years. Depending on Florida, they don't really pay that much. So, you know, you really have to be okay with, even though the fear is speaking to you and it's always in your ear, you have to fight it. So that's what I did to help me get out of that mindset.
Wow, that's amazing, Fabi.
And people, the listeners have to understand what you just heard. You left your job with no money, right?
Yep.
All of these fears, and you went from making a cap where you were capped at $34,000.
Was it 34,010 cents?
Yes.
Oh yeah. The 10 cents. Don't forget the 10 cents. And she made a staggering 200,000 plus. 250,000. Yeah, let's be accurate.
That's amazing.
Come on now. I mean,
do you see the possibilities? Oh my! See, this is exactly why we do these interviews, because people are like, "Oh, I can never do it." Yo, $34,000. You just gave yourself a $226,000 raise.
Yep.
Within a year's time. Now, you just went from getting a 10-cent raise to an over $200,000 raise. Like, that's crazy to me. And that's just because you took a step out on faith, trusted yourself, and trusted, you know, God's process and what he had in store for you. That's incredible. And you had no clients to begin with. So everything that you were doing was starting from scratch, starting all over again. So you have a question?
And just a little side note. I know I heard you say that you want to, you know, touch 1 million.
Oh yeah, that speaks to him.
Because I'm a certified life coach, business coach, and I'm a transformational coach. And one of my goals is to enroll 5 million people. So I challenge you to hold each other accountable to reaching our goals.
Yes, definitely. Because I know that speaking to the world, and it doesn't have to be that they work with me one-on-one, but some action needs to be taken. Like, I love what you guys are doing with this podcast. It's amazing because people need to hear that it's not just you, you know. They're going to be like, oh, they're married, they have this power business, they're a power couple. So yeah, of course they can tell me this and that.
Right.
But I need to know, you know, I'm going through this. And by the way, to your listeners, I was a single parent. I'm married, but I was a single parent. My journey started when I was dating my husband. So there was no financial security of having a hubby, you know, there was no proposal.
Right.
So you really have to think about what is in it for you and your family overall, whether you're married or not.
Now, segueing into that, see, I mean, powerful messages here. Segueing into, you know, support. Now, what kind of, did you have people that were in your immediate circle who didn't necessarily support your system, or did you have full support? Could you talk a little bit on that?
Yes. I did not have full support outside of my husband. That was it. And my sister. Let me not keep her out in case she's listening. I love you, boo. Because I'll be sharing this with her and everybody. But my sister and my husband were very supportive. My dad was like, that's bananas. And every week until I would say my last birthday, he stopped offering me $20 a week. He was like, are you okay, baby? I'm like, I'm fine. We're doing perfectly fine, Dad. He did not believe in it. And like you guys were saying, my parents are super old school and we're Haitian. They work. What is my mother-in-law says? Work is something about, it's in French, but it's something, work equals liberty or freedom. Okay. And I'm like, well, not working for somebody else, but work in general. You're right. Everyone, my friends were like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Why would you do this? You're totally going to be going back, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of things telling you, they helped me feed those fears, like really good. But what I realized, I started, and I love my friends dearly, and we are best friends till the end, but I started limiting my time with them and stopped the calls because how's your day? What's going on? Talking about entrepreneurship. They don't get it. They're bringing me down. I'm like, nope, not this week. My focus is to get X amount of clients and work on this. I'm not going to keep letting you bash me into the whole fear thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you're going to be fearful. But I had a whole bunch of people telling me this is not going to happen for you. And now everybody's like, oh my gosh, how'd you do it? Well, I've been telling you this whole time, entrepreneurship.
and pursuing your passion and being an entrepreneur is about you.
Yep.
And when you allow people in your circle to give you that validation or invalidation, you are now allowing them to make it about them. And you should in no way allow their fears to feed off on what you're trying to do. And that's what a lot of people do. That's what stagnates people. They're always looking for validation before they take action.
Yes.
And I've had this conversation last night with a client, and they just kept talking about, well, I want everyone in my family to do what I'm doing, and not everyone is going to see things your way. Right. It's your vision. You have to take deliberate action for your life and take a stand for your passion. Period.
And I think it's important to mention that, to your point, like your dad, he loves you, obviously. Yep. You know what I mean? It's not that the people don't care about you. They think that they're helping you, actually. Yes. By telling you, don't do this, or you're crazy, or it's not going to work, or you have a daughter, you need to be, concerned about X, Y, and Z. They actually think that they're helping you. I mean, we know that there's haters out there that know the potential you have and don't want to see you shine, but we're not talking to them. We're talking about the people that are in our immediate circles that we love, and we know that they love us. But right now, this message is not what needs to be heard. So the fact that you had to make such a powerful decision to say, you know what, I got to limit the conversations. And maybe it's not that I can't hang out with you, but I can't hang out with you this week or today. Or I can't talk to you about what I'm doing right now because what I'm doing, you don't understand. And I don't need any negative energy coming my way. And it's not meant to be negative, but you're at such a vulnerable state when you're making these kinds of moves that any simple thing, any idea can get in your head and you're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It might be that one day that you're trying really hard to get clients and nobody calls you back or nobody buys your program. And then you got, your friend over here like, girl, you need to go ahead and get a job. You sure you want to do this? That's all you need to be like, oh man, what have I just done? So you've got to cut those things out. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that's a key ingredient to being successful and knowing that you've got to surround yourself around people who are like-minded as you, want the same things as you, and are going to push you to be greater in your purpose.
Yes.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I totally agree. And some of the things that I did to shift that, I, made lifetime friends with other online entrepreneurs who are in the same field as me, or they were maybe not the same business, but pushing towards their goals. And of course, surrounding myself with people who are at the higher level too.
Right.
Because when you surround yourself with people who are crushing it or even just starting out, it's more inspirational and you can see yourself. You can envision the dream because I'm hanging out with that millionaire and that's my goal. And you're not hanging out with them just for that, but I'm saying it inspires you and it pushes you and it motivates you because they're doing something where you want to be.
Right.
Versus hanging out with your girls every Friday. And they're talking in your ear, like you're saying, like, I'm going to need you to get a job because you keep ordering appetizers when we go out because you start a business. And, you have to be willing to eat those appetizers if you want to get to where you need to go in the beginning.
Right.
But it's better. I would rather do that. But again, like you said, it's not that they're trying to hate on you or, keep you from being in that relationship with you. It's just they want to help, even though they don't understand it. So I would say start building a new circle of friends, too. So don't just focus on, I'm just going to cut them out and be lonely, because that's not good either.
Right.
Because their ideas will start popping in your head.
Yeah.
But definitely.
And I used to always say that being an entrepreneur is lonely, and I started to retract from that. It's lonely if you don't allow yourself to be in the presence of people who have, similar passions or desires to be great within their businesses and living out their passions. And also, just to make the distinction, there's two types of friends. You have social friends, and then you have success friends. The social friends are the ones, hey, you want to go to the club, you want to grab a drink, blah, 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 talk about love and hip hop, blah, 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 all that crap. And then you got the success friends that elevate you and take you and hold you accountable and challenge you to go to that next level, to establish even more freedom than you already have. So you have to make the distinction. No one is saying to get rid of your success friends, but actually hanging out with get rid of your social friends, but hanging out with some of your social friends, sometimes when you step out in faith and you start doing your thing, you're like, wow, this is who I was.
Yeah. When you look back, you're like, oh man.
And it's not a judgment.
Playing myself back then.
It's not a judgmental thing, but it just shows you how, why you weren't making moves in the past. I mean,
Yep.
and sometimes you have to allow leading by example to enroll them to one day step out on faith and do their thing. And then
sometimes you got to go through that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but sometimes you got to go through that journey too. You know, there's there's a time and place for everything, and so maybe you weren't mentally there at that particular time. So you got to go through, you know, the ups and downs. I know he had quit his job way before I actually did, and he was just kind of sitting back like, all right, I'm gonna wait for her to get on this train, you know, because I wasn't there. I was doing a tug of war, but I was doing a tug of war with myself. So I completely understand, you know, and I appreciate you sharing that about your circle and the people that you kept around you, you know, and how you dealt with those types of people or those types of situations to keep you positive and on your journey.
And,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to move on to another question.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to say this right quick, too. As far as corporate America, I don't want people to think that having a job is a bad thing because, I mean, when I worked in corporate America, I did my thing. I took pride in my work, but I knew that it wasn't fulfilling for me. And you know, my job almost killed me, literally.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, I learned the biggest takeaways that I've gotten from being, in corporate America was, how to become a professional, but most importantly, what not to do.
Exactly.
So
I
just wanted to touch
and it has its benefits because, to your point, like you are a certified life coach, and so that's kind of where you automatically assumed that's the direction that you wanted to go in with your business. But then you actually took the skills and the knowledge that you learned from your day job, from your corporate job, and applied them to what you're doing now, the consulting, the training, and elevated your business even more. So there's always something to learn from every opportunity. It's not like we're like, no 9 to 5 ever, because you can, if that's what you got to do, you got to do it. But take whatever you can from that experience and then apply it to your own experience.
And we're just talking more on, just having you to take a stand for your freedom, to get your self-expression back, to have a peace of mind, to monetize what you love. I mean, how free is that? And that's all we're promoting. We some people are just not built for entrepreneurship. That was a tough pill for me to swallow as a coach. Everybody needs coaching, but everyone doesn't feel they need it. So, it is what it is, but
so Fabi, tell us about, this is always like a big thing for me. I always love to know, how was it the day that you actually quit? Like, because there's so many emotions leading up to that day. I remember the day before I quit, I couldn't sleep. I was excited, I was nervous, I was scared. I was like, oh my God, what are they going to say? What am I going to say? I was just like, my brain was just on fire. So tell us about the day that you quit.
I was happy as heck. I was just skipping around the office because my boss lived in Connecticut, so I had to send an email.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I didn't have like a supervisor all over me. My boss lived in Connecticut. But I was happy. I was excited because it was like the possibilities. Like for me, and let me tell you guys, I'm not just like, oh, I'm so fearless. Again, fear was coming in, but I was just excited about the possibilities of what can be for my business and my life. Mm-hmm. I remember, because I've been talking about it for weeks, and my little girl, I took her to school and she was telling her teacher, my mom's going to quit her job today, so she can spend more time with me. And that's all I needed to hear. Like, even though the fears and things were going in the way, once I heard that day when I was going to submit my resignation, I was like, okay, I don't care what happens. Mm-hmm. This little girl's lighting my life up. And every day since then, like when people talk about what does your mom do? She quit her job with me, but she's also a coach. That's what she starts with. And, imagine being able to have your kids just feel, not to say you working a job doesn't make your kids feel proud, but she's so proud of me. Like, she has an iPad. Sometimes she pretends to do YouTube videos and like, hi, I'm Fabiola Giordani's daughter. Gosh. And I'm going to share with you how to do marketing today.
You got to see our kids do that.
Exactly. And it's amazing.
Same thing. He is 4. And he gets on his iPad, and
which he is on
right now, and you don't even realize what they watch and what they learn.
Exactly.
He tells, we have a tax business in addition to our coaching businesses. So he says, I work for Bombshell and I do taxes. And he gets on his iPad and he tells everybody that, and he has his own channel, and he's like, yeah, this is Jaden.com, and it's just to watch that, it's like you're building mini entrepreneurs,
right.
and that in itself gives you that push to keep going and doing what you do.
And this is something we weren't taught. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Our parents worked hard and they were rewarded for it, so they just tried to extend that to us. But what they didn't understand, those rules don't apply to our culture. But also, I just wanted to talk a little bit more on the impact that it has on our children. Your 7-year-old was holding you accountable to go quit your job.
Yes. And if I came home until I didn't quit, she would be devastated.
Yes.
So I'm glad I was talking to everyone in my family about it and around her, where she was like, I had to hear that, because I was a little afraid. I was excited. It's like that mixed combination. But hearing that was like, okay, I don't care what happens. I want to be home, just like you said, with her. Yeah. So that's how I felt. But I love that our kids are mimicking what we do. And you have to remember, for me, my thought process was legacy. That's all I kept remembering at the time when she said that, like, legacy. I want to build a legacy for my kids. Like, my family, I'm just open and honest, like, we don't have, like, outside of regular will stuff, we don't have anything that I want to leave something for my kids. Right. Exactly. Not just money, but also the passion, the inspiration, the creativity, the freedom aspect that the future, like a real vision for their lives. Because, when we were growing up, it's go to school, go to college, get a job. That was it. There was no, you can travel the world. There was no, you can have a business. There was none of that, because they weren't taught that. And so we weren't taught it. And now we have the opportunity to teach our kids that anything is possible. You can be the president. You can be a doctor. You can be an entrepreneur, whatever it is for you. So that's how I felt that day. But
I love that.
And now, I mean, you just said, Robert Kiyosaki talks about that all the time. Get a good job, blah, 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 go to school, right? Now we have Google and YouTube University.
Oh my gosh, I call it that too. I mean, I totally call it YouTube University. I love it.
So technically, I mean, I have executive MBA, BA, all of that stuff, and to be honest with you, I did it because that was my backup plan if all else failed as an entrepreneur. And the problem that I had initially when I started my entrepreneurship journey was I was focusing on my plan B more than my plan A. So guess what we did? We scrapped the plan B. And it's just all about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is life to me.
Yeah, and all of those degrees don't really mean anything anymore. It's like, not for us anyway, but, it doesn't mean anything. You could have 98 degrees and still not be able to get a job.
And you also talked about legacy. And like Tamisha said, that's all I'm doing and all we're doing is taking a stand for our family legacy, period.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that word, because he actually in his office on his blackboard, he has that written down. Like, he looks at that every day. I'm taking a stand for my family and our legacy. So that's something that every day, even when we have, like we mentioned earlier, it's not perfect. There's some days where you're like, what am I doing? But then you look up at that and you're like, all right, now I know what I'm doing. It helps you to get refocused. So, Fabi, tell me, which I think is probably... Everything that you said was amazing and important for people to hear. But I think hearing advice from somebody who's now lived the experience that a lot of other people want to live, what is advice that you would give somebody who's in the same situation, who's working a 9-to-5, and they know this is not for them? They know, they may not hate their job, they may like it, but they know that they're not fulfilling their purpose. So what advice would you give them?
A few things, but the first one is invest in yourself. So a lot of people think bootstrapping is important, but you need coaches like Tanisha and Damien and myself to guide you, because you have people who've already done it. Why are you trying to reinvent the wheel?
Right.
For me, when I was, and I guess we didn't mention that as part of my story, but I did start investing in myself and my business way before I quit. So I don't want you to think that, yes, I didn't have a backup plan in terms of money. I burned my bridges. I was like, I'm done. But I started investing in programs and coaching and things that will get me to the next level, because I knew that in order for me to get results, I needed a plan. I needed, it wasn't just, I have a vision, great. But what else do you need in your business? Systems, tools, strategy, support. Because when you are building something, especially something new, sometimes you need that push. And I'm not just saying this because we're coaches. It's just that you need that push.
Right.
You need someone in your corner, not just giving you guidance and strategy, but telling you this is something that you need to do. Like, you got to do this today. So I think the first thing that most people forget when they are quitting their 9-to-5, because they're so excited about all the possibilities, daydreaming about what could be, and putting their business plan together, but they don't actually think about, what do I actually need to grow my business? Do I need to pay for a year for my website? lead pages, coaching, programs. What am I lacking, I guess, is the main thing you want to ask yourself in my business. So if my marketing skills are not there, maybe I need to hire someone to do my marketing. Maybe I don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest and open with yourself. I always tell people, think of your job as your investor. So instead of hating it, especially if you hate your job, don't hate it. Say thank you for the job. Use that money, any extra money. I worked a lot of overtime to pay for some of these courses. Mm-hmm. But use that extra money to invest back in your business. And, you know, if you want to have a savings, and by the way, the savings thing, you may never get to the point where you want to save enough, so don't wait for that to quit.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, though, use your job as your investor to invest back in your business. So if you need more strategy, you need a coach, you need more clarity, invest in that. Do that now. Get that information now. Because once you quit, you should be doing go time now, but once you quit, it is go time. There is no more, cushy job waiting on you. So you have to get it done. And if you don't have any money, then you're going to hate it. And you're going to want to go back because you have all that stuff that you're lacking. So invest in yourself is my first advice, I guess, for anyone who's listening.
I loved that you said that. That is so important because, like you said, you know, we say that all the time to people and they think, oh, they're just saying that because we're coaches and we want them to enroll under us. But no, I can speak and you can speak and you can speak from experience. Like for me, we all think we could do it ourselves and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to go to YouTube University, but certain things you can't get from YouTube University. You know what I mean? Certain things you got to get systems in place. And like you said, why spin your wheels doing it if somebody else who's done it already can help you do that? Exactly. I didn't see results in my business until I got a coach. And that helped me, you know, see my business in a whole different perspective. So it's so important to get that plan in place. Like for you, like same thing like you. I didn't have money. In fact, I think my account was negative when I quit. You know, a bill came out and I was like, whoop, but I'm still going forward with it.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I knew I had systems in place to get those things going. So if you just quit, you have no system in place. And what happens, to your point, when you finally do quit, is go time. So people say, like, I had a client say, oh, well, you know, I'm going to quit my job and then I'm going to enroll in your program. And I said, actually, you're not, because that's when you're going to say, well, I can't waste this money, because you're thinking it's money being spent. And so you don't want to let go of it. And so you're not going to do it. Now is actually the time to invest when you have the investor, the job, so that you can, you know, take care of your bills and still take a little bit here and build your skills up. So I'm so glad that you said that. That is so important.
Yeah, and I mean, I can touch on it too as well, you know, the importance of having a coach. Like for me, for example, I'm a visionary. I mean, I just know that I have visions that can potentially make billions of dollars. But what I lacked was, you know, being a visionary, I used to use as justification for procrastination that if something didn't work right away, you know, I could jump to the next thing. And that was actually a defense mechanism for myself not to get things done. So once I was able to get a coach, and I actually have 3 coaches, by the way. So it allowed me, I needed the accountability in order to increase my reliability. So it worked for me in that perspective. Just knowing that, you know, having someone that's successful in that particular area, it compelled me. Also, growing up as a kid, I never wanted to let my parents down. So when I invest, because I don't pay for anything, I invest into my intellectual property.
I love that.
And see, that's another thing with our relationships to word. You know, when you sell coaching, you sell a program, you sell a product, people always ask you, you know, even in my tax business, how much is my taxes going to cost? No, it's an investment. And if you have that attitude and you start changing your language and taking a stand for your life, things will start to change.
Exactly. I agree. And I love that you said that it's an investment. And I love that you mentioned you have 3 coaches, because for me, I believe coaching should be specific, strategic to what your needs are, especially if you're just starting out and you're like, you know, I may not have a budget for a general business coach that's going to help me with everything. But if my issue is marketing or branding, I'm going to hire someone to help me with that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And to your point, I'm pretty sure each of your coaches are for specific areas. For me, too, I like having a coach for each area that I'm struggling in, because it makes my life easier, and I can because they've had success in that area, and it helps me just get the results that I need. And I, like you were saying, Tamisha, that sometimes people think you're trying to pitch to them, and it's like, that's not the truth. The truth is you need that. And my next thing that I want to mention, as my second tip, is your mindset. Fill yourself up every day with things that's going to light you up and get your day going. Because when you start, and I'm not saying every day is perfect. I'm waking up, meditating and all that stuff, but I want to encourage you. I listen to audiobooks. I also listen to affirmations. I try and I put reminders on my phone. I got this from Victoria Osteen, where she was like, put God reminders on your phone. Like, the promises that God made to you, like, repeat yourself. I will be the lender and not the borrower, especially even if you're using credit cards to build your business.
Yes.
Like, I remember Danielle Laporte even saying that she built her business on credit cards because she knew she was going to be successful regardless. She didn't care about the debt. Mm-hmm. She knew that she was going to pay them off. And guess what? She has a huge business, yes. Right? But your mindset is important. Fill yourself up with good things that's going to light you up and keep you motivated, because that's important as well.
And the key thing, what people have to understand, they think, when you become this entrepreneur, life is perfect. It doesn't matter who you are, Mark Zuckerberg, the Tesla guy, Tony Robbins. We're all going to have circumstances. The people who allow themselves to stay in their mediocrity are the people who have allowed their circumstances to be bigger than them.
Yeah.
Amen.
We're going to have circumstances. It's just what it is. But how you deal with it and how you take a stand for it matters.
And that goes to what you were saying about your mindset, because things are going to happen. But if your mindset is in the right place, then you'll know how to deal with them. And sometimes you have a bad day, but you know what? You deal with it for that moment. You allow yourself the time, I'm going to be pissed off today, or I'm going to be pissed off for the next 30 minutes, and then I'm going to let it go.
Exactly.
And then you've got to do that. Otherwise, you won't be able to succeed. So I know we talked a lot about, we definitely talked about, that stuck out to me, is your race, your $226,000, no, actually $225,999.90. That's it.
Yeah.
Raise. But I want you to be able to tell people, what that other side really looks like for you. So what have you been able to accomplish in your business within the past year of you just putting yourself first?
Well, lots of things. I've had four mega launches. I've been successful, and that's how I was able to accumulate that kind of money. Been able to build a global brand. I mean, I don't have 20,000 people on Facebook, but I'm globally recognized. And even at the grocery store in Publix, I feel amazing. When people stop me like, are you Fabiola? You were just in my feed today. And then, being able to be interviewed by fabulous people like you. And just being able to spread the message that it's possible. That's one of the things that I'm excited about with that 1 million goal that I have. So I've been able to do a lot, travel more this year. Because here's the thing, when you're at a 9 to 5, and I'm not bashing it, I could not take vacation for the life of me. My vacation consists of me going to the beach because I live in Florida. So this year I went to DC several times. And I know it's not international, but for me, that felt great. I'm like, I'm leaving and going somewhere. New York and things like that. So being able to travel, I remember my husband had to go to Miami to visit family, and I was just able to just pick up my laptop and we're gone. Mm-hmm. I'm having meeting sessions. And then we're off to the beach on a Monday, because I'm a hippie mama. Sometimes I'm like, look, listen, just take her out of school for the day.
Yeah.
Because you have to have experiences in life.
Absolutely.
So there's so many things that I've been able to do. But in terms of the process, though, I want to encourage people to think outside the box. Be as creative as possible. All of my launches were not the same. Each of them were different. And I've always had goals for each of them. And I thought about, like, it's not just a financial goal, but how many people does it take to get this number? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, am I charging the right amount? Just being very strategic and thinking through things has really helped me get to the level that I wanted to get today.
And just a little thing, like, for example, people that have 9 to 5s, they can't even take time off from work to take their kids to the doctor. They have to come up with this whole big dialogue. This little thing to the dentist. The medical coverage that they give you, they have a problem with you going to the doctor. Like, really? Mm-hmm. But then you're talking about work-life balance. It's just so many contradictions that happen when you're working, and for someone. I mean, it just like you said, just to pick up like us. I mean, we literally have the ability to say, "Hey, listen, our hometown, New York. We're gonna get on a plane and we're gonna go to New York, and all we need is our mobile devices and Wi-Fi, and we're gonna get this money wherever we go."
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I love that you brought that up, because I remember at a point where my daughter was sick, and they didn't give us sick days. Let me say that. So I keep saying we sometimes want to do interviews. No, it ain't a we. It's they. They didn't give us sick days. So when you called out or if you had to go home for an emergency, it was like I don't know what it's called, but it was a mark on your record. And I'm like, this is insane. My little girl is sick. My husband's working and he can't leave because he was a truck driver. He is a truck driver. He was doing national driving. And he's an entrepreneur too, but he just moved to the States. So he's just like, I'm going to wait a little bit before I figure out what I want to do here.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do anything. And I was like, I'm just going to leave because this is insane. You're telling me that if I leave now, I'm going to be in trouble. Well, let's talk about this when I get back. Yeah. Because my little girl's important. And you have to think about that. Like, am I going to leave my kid at school throwing up because I can't leave? And again, it's not a security thing. There's no security in that job because if they felt like I had too many marks because my kid kept getting sick, they would have been like, bye, Fabiola. Have a great day.
Yeah.
So think about what it is, the end goal for you in your life, because if you're not thinking about the whole picture, it's hard for you to see that entrepreneurship is the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Because it is not the big picture there.
That's an important point to think about. And I know that all of us who've had 9 to 5s have experienced that at some level. I remember there was a gentleman at my job. He actually passed away like in the elevator bank. And, you know, they put like some flowers down in the lobby and like a little card, you know, for people to sign. And he was sick, you know, off and on, and he had taken time off. And I don't know his circumstances, if they didn't let him take time off or not. But I know that he was sick and he had to leave and come back and leave and come back. And the man just died right there.
Dropped dead
in the elevator bank. And, you know, the most that they did, they didn't send an email out to the company. It was just like, you saw some flowers and a little card with a candle on it, you know, if you want to sign it for the family. And I'm like, this man, you know, worked his life here and ended his life here. And the most that you guys are going to do for him is put a card out? Like, come on, that's crazy. But my point in saying that is, you know, you've got to decide when it comes to like those kind of situations who you're going to put first. You put them first, but what happens when you put them first? You know, they don't give you the same thing that you give back to them. You're giving away your time, your livelihood, your relationships with your family, you know, and you just got, if this is something that you really want to do, you've got to weigh the pros and cons and how it's really effective. So, Fabi, thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared with us. It was amazing, you know, sharing your personal experiences, sharing your experience, and just speaking from the heart on, you know, what people really need to know, what they really need to do, how it affected you, and most importantly, how it impacted your life, and all the things that you're able to do for yourself, for your family, for your daughter. I mean, those things are just priceless and can never be replaced. And I love that you were very open with us and sharing that with us. So thank you.
And we, you know, we just want to acknowledge you also for just creating that possibility of having, of creating your freedom and taking a stand for it, and just doing what you do. We also want you to also tell the audience how they can find you, you know, websites and things like that. You know, here's your plug. Let's go.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. Like, I love speaking to people about how freedom is totally possible for them. So I really appreciate that you guys have this platform, and of course, asking me to be a part of it. Thank you. So if they can find me at FabiolaGiordani.com. That is my digital home. That's FabiolaGiordani.com. And of course, I Periscope almost every day. And that's at Fabi Giordani, Faby, and then my last name. And of course, I'm always giving free content because I believe that knowledge is power. Yes. So if you go to my website, you can definitely opt in. I think right now there's a launch guide, so that's a great thing. It's rotating, but it's always good stuff. And then Facebook as well. I'm Fabiola Giordani on Facebook. So yeah,
you're on Instagram too, right? Is it?
Yes, I love Instagram. Thanks for reminding me of that. Instagram, Fabiola Y Giordani, because someone took my name.
What?
The nerve of them. And
right?
Well, and I also want to extend the invitation for us to all create the possibility to get on stage and to aid into that 1 million and the 5 million people that, you know, we're trying to reach. So we definitely need to discuss that in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah,
you guys are amazing. I love it. I love the energy.
Thank
I'm feeling the vibe.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend.
You too.
Enjoy your freedom.
Yes.
Right.
Yay to freedom.
Take a stand for that freedom.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Take care, listeners.
You too.
Thanks so much for listening to the Quit Your 9 to 5 podcast with your hosts, Tamisha and Damian Duncan. We'll catch you next time.